Welcome back to the workshop. This is part 2 in my series on making a pegboard cabinet. This one is going to talk about making grooves for the sliding panel, which is kind of one of the main features. Okay, so these are my top and bottom pieces. This is probably the top, and this would be the bottom, and they're going to be sort of like this. So, what I need to do next is measure for the groove. I'll just do it on one piece. I'll do it on the bottom first. Then I'll mirror that on the other piece. The way I'd like this to work, I'd like to have it like this, with this face equal to the face of the front. And so what I'm doing is I'm measuring this board, which is about 1/2 inch. It's about 1/2 inch. Give or take, and then using my marking gauge, the new one I just bought, I'll take it from here to here, and mark that along for the first line. And then for the second line, using the gap here, that'll give me the second line. It'll give me a good groove. Okay, so that is the groove. I'm going to remove that waste, and that will be our groove. And for depth, we'll decide that based on how deep this is here, how far this has gone down. What I would do is I would start a little bit and keep working my way down to do that. I will start this with probably chisels and then work my way to a router plane, because this is going to be about, hopefully, 1/4 inch of space. Yes, it is about 1/4 inch. So I'll be able to use my 1/4 inch foot, or the blade for the router plane. It's 1/4 inch. You could also use probably a plow plane, but I don't want to chance that. My plow plane is not the best for working with this kind of material. You could probably just go right off, so I'm going to use the router plane because that is precise. I also want to check this with the piece just to be sure that the lines look like they'll work out, and it does appear that they will. To be sure that this is a good surface for then using a chisel, I'm going to use a knife to kind of reinforce that line. It's probably best to do this with a ruler, really keep that, instead of doing it freehand. You can feel that grain wanting to fight against this line. So a ruler or a straight edge or even a square is the best way to get that started, especially right here where the grain is wanting to go this way instead of this way. We'll do the same thing for this other one. You really have to be mindful of how the direction the grain is going. And in this case, the grain seems to be going in sort of a this way pattern rather than another. So as I've been working this, first I took this piece out over here, and now I'm really working on removing this. And that, I keep going through with the knife wall and with the saw, and it could be because this passage is not wide enough for my 1/4 inch chisel, or it could be that I'm digging into something that's causing this to separate. So, again, this is a scrap project, so I don't really care as much about bringing up stuff like this because it's going to be in the out in the shop. But if this was a true project, I would probably be working with oak instead of pine, where there's not as much of a tear out situation as you're going to get with a pine board. This is a 1/8 chisel that sometimes I use to help clean out rather than sending a large 1/4 inch in to kind of get some more material out. Another option you can do, this is the other side, this is I believe the top, starting out on either side, I actually split a little piece off. I've re-glued it, and so a better way of doing this is put it into a tail vise type of thing, or secure it to your workbench, and then using a saw along your lines to give you a better uniform cut. Another option is you can use a router plane. This is a Veritas router plane with a 1/4 inch bit, and I have the alternate fence that I can use with this. Now to do it on this workbench, I have to turn it around. And this helps to clean up your groove. And you can of course continue to work on your groove. Just continue to lower. And I have another video on how this is used if you're interested in watching it. I have a link to that. And you can, of course, use it without the fence as well. Here's your groove. Here's your rabbet. I'm just going to keep working it until it will accept your rabbet. In this case, the rabbet is a little too wide on this end, or because the groove is probably where it needs to be, but the rabbet may be a little too much. I know that on this other side, it will go in. Goes in correctly. So I need to work on this rabbet a little more. Then it should be able to fit. Okay, at this point, this is in dry setup. It's not nowhere near finished. There's still some squaring I have to do, but it's in my Works Pegasus in the clamp, and then we got another clamp here just holding the carcass together. Here's the sliding panel, and it does move freely. So that's a good thing. Next will be to add a divider part in the middle, and a couple drawers. So we'll move on to that part next.